we are here with Chris. We are talking about information architecture and how it affects public policy. And Chris, I've had some interviews with other folks who have some ideas about how it may or may not affect policy. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and then tell us what you think about the subject?
Sure. My name's Chris Fahey. I'm an interaction designer and a partner at a company called Behavior. We do websites for various clients, specializing in user experience design. My background is in art, and I kind of fell into design because it was a job you can have with art. So
yeah.
And public policy. So in my career, I haven't interacted much with government policy, but I think that there are places where the private sector is actually sort of on their own creating systems that I think are going to affect public policy, or models that work there. We were just talking a few minutes ago about the New York City 311 system, and that's what we're talking about actually. I know, and I mentioned New York City, but I know a lot of other cities have it, but New York's the one I know. And what's most interesting about it to me is, first of all, that they instituted this system. Well, first I should explain what it is. It's like 911 for calling for a severe emergency. Many cities have instituted a 311 system for minor emergencies, complaints, questions, sort of customer service for the city. And so, there's a dead cat on the street in front of my house. What do I do about it? Or, the people next door are jackhammering in front of their house all day long, or into the night. Noise complaints, things like that. So, and I mentioned customer service because what happened is they actually used a private sector customer service model as a public sector sort of government service model.
Interesting.
And they actually, they hired Accenture in New York to come in and actually do it. And Accenture uncharacteristically did a great job and did it really fast. In 6 months, they had the system up. And what's striking about it is that it is an information architecture challenge. You and I attended a conference where we learned a lot about this last year, and the IDEA conference. And it's a fascinating system because the problem that existed was that there's all these government agencies that don't talk to each other, and that people in the public don't know who to talk to. So who do you call? What phone number do you call when there's jackhammering out in front? You don't call the police. They don't want you to do that. Don't call the fire department. You don't know who to call at that point. Department of Health, Sanitation, the Public Works. You don't know. And if you do call the wrong people, they're not going to tell you who the right people are.
Right.
And the solution really was they saw it as an IA problem. How do you take a question and find an answer? How do you take information that has an answer in an information space that's answerable and find the answer? So, one of my favorite examples that they gave was the dead cat example.
Yeah.
There's apparently 12 different agencies responsible for the dead cat. If it's in the street, it's one department. It's like the Department of Sanitation. If it's in a park, it's the Department of Parks. If there's 10 dead cats, it's the Department of Health because it's a epidemic. So there's 10 other variations of this you can have, and so the answer is a person answers the phone when you call in. They ask you a couple questions according to a flow chart, and at the end of that flow chart is the number of the agency that actually is responsible, and that person just has to walk you through that flow chart, and then they write up a ticket right there on the spot and send it to that agency. So you really only call one number. And the ticket is sent to that agency, and they have to do it. And they can't answer the phone and say, "It's not my department," which is what always happens in New York if you don't call through one.
Very good.
So it's a great example of information architecture is the solution. Someone made a interaction tree for a phone operator to solve that problem. So that's one model. One model is sort of the city practicing public policy inward. Outward to the people. Responding to them and being like a service provider, but we also talked a little bit about this sort of in model, the people in.
That's right.
And what are we doing as public to to sort of put information into the system.
Yeah.
And is the government listening?
Right.
And there's some examples you gave about just sort of the fact that everything has to be structured into a fixed system of ethnic identity and regional identity and income brackets, and we all sort of fit into these demographics that the government is obviously recording.
Right.